Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Toyota and Bet365. The Cubs pound the Cardinals. Matthew Boyd absolutely blistering on the mound. He pitched like an all-star because he is an all-star. Plus, we'll talk about the Cubs that so far have been snubbed from the all-star game, but it's a series win over the Cardinals. Load up the beer bat. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at signup. Cubs crush the Cardinals, making a beautiful holiday weekend come to an end. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Del Mendo with you. We will be back tomorrow, by the way, at 12:30 in the afternoon for another Cubs podcast, as the Cubs now have a day to rest after taking this wonderful series against the St. Louis Cardinals. We have so much to talk about. We get the All-Stars, we have Boyd, we have the offense, we have the Snubs, we have the announcers tonight. Apparently, if you heard it, I didn't hear it. We have the seventh inning stretch person was terrible. I don't even know who that is, but they're bad.
I know who she is.
And
so
she was bad, Cody?
I saw, so I forget his name. I forget his actual name, but it's like MBD Chicago on Twitter. He posts great photos along with Rich Beasterfield. Those are probably the two best Cubs photographers that are fans. And he tweeted a video of the video board in left field. And yeah, it was terrible in terms of what it sounded like. But because I know who she is, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that I wasn't surprised to see what I saw, because it was like it just was her own bit. But
yeah,
the girl in bed right now, she's endlessly defending her to me. It's a tough scene for what they call the daddy gang right now. Alex Cooper, to her credit, she's like the biggest female podcaster in the world right now. So she is kind of
probably doesn't care.
She does not care. No, she does.
It's all about the attention. This is attention for her, right?
But it was objectively terrible. It was objectively
Cody,
terrible.
this is why I say you should vomit on a beer bat chug for the good of the company.
No, I don't think it's for the good of the company.
Projectile vomit right towards Kevin Wells, not me, but towards Kevin Wells. If you got to vomit, do it. Turn his way and just hurl.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that, though. Sorry. We can do it in other ways. We can find a way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's ways to do it. So the Cubs go into this series. We're going to talk about the series. We'll talk about Friday's spectacular Friday 120. I'm going to guess one of the greatest games you've ever been to, one that you will never forget, an historic game against the Cardinals. Maybe it's not the Sandberg game, but it's got to be pretty high on the list for Cubs versus Cardinals. Yeah. And tonight, the Cubs offense goes crazy. You had Seiya with 2 hits, PCA 2 hits, Reese McGuire with 2 hits. You had Nico a homer short of the cycle, and them actually putting up odds on ESPN for what it would be if he hit a home run. And I think it was plus 2,000 in that final at bat. Yeah. Just your impressions of what the offense did tonight, because I thought it was impressive because they did it with only 1 home run.
Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about that last week because that's what they did against the Guardians, it felt like, in most of that series. So maybe it's just the theme of the week. 5-1 homestand. Overall thoughts about the homestand was huge because you came home after losing a series in Houston. You split in St. Louis, 3-4 road trip. We talked about how June was, you went 13-13, which is for the lowest moment of the year. I'll take a 500 month every time, but you've entered July and you started with a 5-1 homestand in this offense. I think they found a way to do it in both ways. Thursday night in the last game against Cleveland, they won 1-0 with a walk-off sack fly. And then this weekend, wind blowing out on 2 of the 3 nights. I think it was more so moving left to right most of the night tonight, but it wasn't just howling out like it was the last 2 days. And they still put up 11 runs. And Matthew Boyd didn't allow any runs. And Jordan Wicks, I think if there's anything like that, probably no one is going to remember or think about was the fact that Jordan Wicks ate some innings, saved the bullpen, and also had his best appearance of the entire season. So, but in terms of the offense, yeah, I mean, Kyle Tucker, the big 2-run single to make it 3-0 early when it still felt close. But even in the first inning, after they only had 1 run, they made Fetty throw 35 pitches in the first inning, and I think he only got like 2 swing and misses in that first inning. So the Cubs were seeing him well. Ian Happ missed a leadoff homer by a few feet, hit one on to Sheffield foul. PCA with the RBI single to get the first run of the game was good because he didn't do much yesterday after the big Friday. So it's good to see him get back on track offensively today a little bit with 2 hits. And then the thing everyone I know on Cubs Twitter was talking about, Michael Busch ahead of Dansby Swanson in the lineup. They both had good nights, though. I mean, everyone, you won 11-0. Everyone has a good night offensively, right? The only guys who didn't actually have hits were Happ and Shaw, but Happ got on base with a walk and even had an RBI with that ground out. Shaw scored 2 runs and he walked as well. So everyone got on base tonight, and at least that started. So, I think they just all kind of did their part in terms of the offense. And I remember, I think it was Wednesday, Kevin Wells mentioned the whole, when they walk 4 times or more, they haven't even lost 10 games when they do that. And tonight they walked 5 times.
There you go.
And that inning where they put up a 5 spot with Mason Wynn on the mic, they walked.
That was so sweet.
Right. They walked multiple times that inning, I believe. So, yeah. And then, Seiya with the big double and to bring in a run. And they were just nothing flashy, nothing crazy, just having good at bats. And I feel like in June, when we talk about the offense, a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, they'll score 7-8 runs against some random dude no one's heard of that's not good, but then they can't score against good pitchers or whatever. And I know Eric Fetty has struggled this year, and he hasn't been good this year. So to say he's good is not actually true. The point that I'm trying to really make is that they all had good at bats. They put the offense in position to be in position every single time they came into plate when the game was close. And I feel like in June, we missed a lot of that. A lot of strikeouts in June. A lot of missed opportunities in June. Still managed to go 500, though. Tonight, I felt like when they had opportunities to score, someone eventually came through. But no one put them in position to where we were sitting here thinking in hindsight, well, what if we came through here, I guess maybe the first inning, Dansby not coming through, of course, in the 6 hole. But, there weren't a lot of moments in this game where you're like, this offense has problems or whatever, And again, they won 11-0. But I just think that overall with the offense tonight, they all did their part in terms of having a good at bat. And I feel like that's a lot different than what we saw in June. And to me, that's good, a good sign, good to see. And more importantly, they did this. They won 11-0 coming off blowing a late lead.
Yeah, should have been a sweep.
Should have swept. Should have went 6-0 on the homestand, Luke. Should have gone 6-0 on the homestand.
But I will take 5-1.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
I was hoping for a double sweep, but I'll take 5-1. And we'll get to the Boyd stuff because he was great and he's an all-star and we're happy about that. Seiya, man, what else do we want from this guy? I don't know how much Tucker being in the lineup really has altered him and how much of it is just this is finally the guy we wanted to see at the plate all the time. Like he's at 77 RBI and 25 home runs, and we're still not to the all-star break. Mm-hmm. And the last Cubs player to have 75 and 25 going into the all-star break was Sammy in 2001. Okay. So he leads Major League Baseball in RBI, and somehow he's not an all-star yet. What are we talking about? the All-Star game's just a farce sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just I know that you want to have one player from every team, but that's a stupid rule because some teams don't deserve to have a player on the All-Star team. Like, if you want to make it the deciding factor, like, oh, this team has 5 guys, they don't need another one. Fine, okay. But like just putting one guy from every team on there is somewhat silly because some of these teams, it's like the White Sox last year or the Rockies this year. Do you really need an all-star? I'm not sure you do. But a guy who's leading Major League Baseball in RBI probably deserves to be on the all-star team.
Yeah. I believe it's Hunter Goodman who's representing the Rockies.
Okay.
And he's a fine catcher. And I thought it was going to be Jake Bird personally for them.
Does he have better numbers than the Cubs catchers?
I don't know.
Reese
Probably
McGuire,
not.
2 more hits tonight.
Yeah, no, Cubs catchers are inevitable.
All he does is hit home runs.
Right. My thing is with that whole thing, Seiya can play the outfield too. Kyle Stowers made the All-Star team. And this is nothing against Kyle Stowers. He's a great young player. Looks like the Marlins fleeced the Orioles. And Kyle Stowers killed the Cubs when they played the Marlins this year. He had great games against the Cubs. But Seiya Suzuki leads baseball in RBIs and has, 25 homers? He's got an 880 OPS. He belongs to the All-Star game. Not Kyle Stowers.
Don't get me wrong, so does Juan Soto.
Yeah, well, we can there's a tweet out there tonight. Justin Havens from Baseball is Dead podcast tweeted he can make an argument for 6 different Cubs to make the All-Star team this year.
Yeah.
And he included Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki, Nico Horner, and I forgot the other ones. But the list was
Carson
long. Maybe
on there.
Yeah, Carson Kelly, I think he said him too. But that's the thing, like Seiya Suzuki has been awesome all season. And the only way that he could get in now is if there's like an injury or something like that. To me, he should be the very first person that should make the team as soon as an injury happens. So it's a travesty. I think tonight on Twitter, I made an argument about Nico Horner and he almost hit for the cycle. And then he was great on defense too. And I feel like it makes a great argument just based off his position. Brendan Donovan got in, the one Cardinals participant, and he's had a great season offensively, but he's not nearly as good defensively as Nico Horner. And Nico Horner has not far off offensive numbers from Brendan Donovan. And so it's just kind of like Nico Horner is a complete player at that position. And to me, if there was ever a year for Nico Horner to make the All-Star team, it was this year. And, again, the Cardinals have to have a representative. They've been better than what anyone expected. So I guess it's Brendan Donovan's deserving. He's got a near 800 OPS, whatever. But again, if you want to talk about a complete player, you want to talk about a guy who's been as valuable as anyone at that position, Nico Horner is right there. Fangraphs WAR is about the same as Brendan Donovan's too. So I can sit here all night and make arguments for certain Cubs to make the All-Star team.
We might do that tomorrow at 12:30.
Okay. I can do this. We can do this multiple days, Luke. I'll scream at the clouds like you.
Here's the thing, Cody. Like, sometimes you just got to tip your cap to a guy. Like, the entire offseason, most of Cubs Twitter and even our show at times, we all sat there. We all bought into is he going to be mad? Does he want to play DH? Where reports are he doesn't want to play DH. Maybe we should just trade him if he doesn't want to DH because and I've dogged him for his defense. Never his hitting, but I've dogged him for his defense. And he's not only accepted DH, he's thrived in DH. And he's having as good an offensive season as almost anybody in baseball. Are there guys having better? Yes. But he's right there at the top. And so to me, he has to be an all-star. Somehow they've got to find a way. I don't care if we have to Nancy Kerrigan somebody, if somebody's got to take a club to somebody's leg. I'm kidding. Yeah. But it seems wrong. Like, the guy deserves it. He's having this terrific offensive season. How can the RBI leader for Major League Baseball not be at the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Sort of ridiculous. How can Juan Soto, one of the biggest stars in baseball, who's still having a good season, not be in the All-Star game? I get it. Like, if you're going to have a veterans pick for Clayton Kershaw, who didn't pitch most of the season, then you ought to have an asterisk guy who's just like too good not to be there.
Yeah.
Having a season too good not to be there. We'll talk more about that in a second, and also about Matthew Boyd. But first, do want to tell you about some of our great sponsors here at CHGO. Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's got the lineup worth a look. There's the RAV4, versatile, reliable, and always ready for adventure. Grand Highlander, plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families. Looking for efficiency, the Corolla's got you covered. It's smart, stylish, and easy on gas. And if you're looking for something tougher, don't forget the Tacoma. And finally, the Camry, sleek and packed with performance. Summer starts here with amazing deals. Visit your local dealer and find yours today. Check out the full lineup at toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places. Become a CHGO diehard right now. Upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, discounts on the merchant events, plus the CHGO Discord Lounge, which was popping tonight. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join thousands of our diehards already in our community. We want to connect with you on an even greater level.
Get that new PCA shirt. If you,
pick it out.
Become a diehard, you get a discount, right? You get a free t-shirt when you sign up, right? You can also get free money on Bet365 if you're good at gambling, all right? Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. All you got to do is sign up, use code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. They have the early payout offer. You would have won tonight quickly. If the Cubs went up 5 runs, you would have cashed your bet. That's one of the great promos on Bet365 right now. All right. So again, $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. All right. Sign up and use that code CHGO365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5. You can use those bonus bets on player props, futures, spreads, totals, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be assessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, the Cubs crush the Cardinals and take 2 out of 3 in the series. The Cubs will have an off day on Monday and then head to Minnesota. This is our Taking the Temp segment. Your trusted local experts, 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit 4seasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's 4seasonsheatingcooling.com. Let me tell you, with the way the heat has been so far this summer, you better make sure your air conditioner is working good.
Absolutely.
And if it's not, get in line to buy a new one real fast.
Or you're sweating.
Oh, man.
Sweating more than me on Bet365 every day. That's for sure.
I was at first of all, we were trying to get over to the festival in Arlington Heights here for the 4th of July all weekend to get the kids on some rides. But it was so hot every day that it was like, can't go over there. It's 95 degrees at 5 o'clock. We're not going over there. We went over today, got soaked in the rain. But before that, it was just like walking through a sauna.
Yeah. It
was just unbearable. We were talking about Seiya and how hot he's been, and how great he's been in the first half of the season. We'll talk about some of the other guys if you want later in the show. I know we're going to talk about Matthew Boyd, who got the nod today, becoming the 3rd Cubs player to join. He'll now join PCA and Kyle Tucker at the All-Star game. Cody, have you decided, are you doing a beer bat chug?
No, I don't have any beer.
You don't have any beer. Now, I have a water. I don't think it's going to make for great radio, but I could power off this water,
No, I don't.
Is that a quality chug right there?
What's messed up is tonight I accidentally went into the office and forgot because I forgot that we were remote. So, and there's plenty of beer at the office, and I didn't grab a beer on my way out. So, of course, I came home and we don't have any beer. You know why? Because all the beer we had, we drank over the weekend because it was a great holiday weekend, and as hot as you said it was,
yeah,
that's why you had to have an ice cold beer to get through some of that heat. I will say the Bleachers Friday, man, it was one of the hotter ones of the year.
Sure. I was watching it thinking to myself, even 8 home runs couldn't have me want to be there right now.
Oh, but it was,
there's no shade.
Yeah.
There's no back to your seat and you're on a metal bleacher.
Yeah. But I got to say, though, if we're taking the temp, we need to take the temp on Michael Busch, Luke Stuckmeyer, because this guy had a weekend. No one's hotter than Michael Busch right now, Luke. No one. This guy
got him moved up in the lineup.
Moved up in the lineup, 4 homers this weekend, 3 of them in one game. The third one to break the record for a single game of homers for the Cubs. And what, like a 950 OPS right now?
Yeah.
He's top 10 in baseball. I was making an argument on the show.
They used your Freddie Freeman graphic on ESPN.
What?
They compared Michael Busch to Freddie Freeman. They put their stats up on the screen. I thought to myself, that's the first good thing they've done tonight.
Yeah. You could compare him, Freddie Freeman, and Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
And not to say that those guys aren't deserving. I think that they both have had great first half of the seasons, but man, and maybe Michael Busch is more of just like the last month and a half. But even before Michael Busch got hot entering June, he was still having a really good year. He's just been scorching for the last month and a couple weeks. So let's just call it a month and a half, and finally moved up in the lineup, hit 5th today. And also he's been put in the lineup this weekend against lefties, Luke.
I know.
That's a big development. Also, I think Craig's just like, we gotta keep this guy in the lineup. He's producing, and he's not going to say it out loud, but he knows this bench ain't giving the Cubs anything right now. So, yeah, it's a huge thing. But I always thought Michael Busch would be a really good player for the Cubs, and but did I think he would be? Did I think he would be a top 10 in OPS? We got a lot of season left. He could certainly cool off a little bit. I don't expect him to have a 950 OPS the entire season, but I mean, he's, top 3 in baseball, or let's just call it first baseman because of its position. Top 3 in WRC plus, top 3 in weighted on base average, right? Like this guy he has become everything we could have wanted. I don't want to hear about Zaire Hope. I don't want to hear about Jackson Ferris for a while. Okay. I don't want to hear about him, dude. This guy is awesome. And he's great defensively too. He's been the complete package at first base. Remember when they didn't have any first basemen? We're sitting here talking about Eric Hosmer and Eric Mancini and Frank Schwindel.
Yes.
Cubs legend Frank Schwindel, of course.
Respectfully.
But you get respectfully. But this guy has taken the torch from Anthony Rizzo, and I mean, people are on Twitter making comparisons between him and Anthony Rizzo. And I'm not saying he's better or not this or that. Like, Anthony Rizzo was a lot younger when he came up, but he's been that good.
I think you're disrespecting Rivas right now.
No, sorry, I forgot about Alfonso Rivas.
Shout out to Derek in the live YouTube chat here at the all-new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, which, by the way, you should subscribe and like immediately right now. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a total stranger about it. Derek, for $2 at Toyota Super Chat, says, love you guys. Fly the W. And hi to everybody that's joined us in the live YouTube chat. We appreciate that, of course. We see you out there.
We got
lots to talk about. We've got Matt McIntyre put Seiya in the All-Star game ! For $1.99. Thank you, Matt. Let's send Seiya. We'll just send him enough super chats. Maybe we can just get him a ticket.
Just send him. He should at least be in the home run derby if he wants to do it. If they ask him, he should.
I'll be honest with you. I don't want any of the Cubs in it. After Schwarber said it kind of screwed up his swing, I'm like, I don't know if I need anybody in it right now, unless all that person does is hit home runs.
Fair enough. I don't know how much I truly believe in like that thing.
Yeah,
but
I think here's what I think. I think it impacts some guys and it doesn't impact others.
Yeah,
I don't really need to take the risk.
But the
kind of fun to watch it, but I don't need my guy. I don't really care if a Cub ever wins it.
Right. Well, it's a cool story to tell, a good memory to have, something to brag about to other opposing fans, I guess. But I think the thing with Seiya, not to veer back to him, even though we've already talked about him a little bit, but one more thing on him. I think the key for him this year for the slug is the fact that he's pulled the ball a lot more. And I think they talked about that on Marquee. And tonight, ironically, though, he goes right center, and so he can hit some oppo tacos, right? But the thing about him is he's the one guy, and I guess you can say Kyle Tucker too, even though we've definitely seen more homers from Kyle Tucker on the road this year, at least, than at home. But the one thing about Seiya, I feel like, is that it doesn't matter what's going on at Wrigley. He's a threat to hit it out every day because he hits the ball so hard. And his home runs, they can be moonshots, they can be line drives into the basket. Better have your hard hats on out there, right? He does all of that. It just, we talked about it. It ends about his hard hit rates. Like, he hits the ball hard. So that's why, for me, wind blowing in, out, whatever, when it comes to him, at least, I don't really have a lot of concern. At least this year. Obviously, previous years, there's plenty of reason to have concern there. But because he's been pulling the ball a lot more, I think that it's helped him lift the ball more and have more slug this year, which is exactly what the Cubs needed from him.
Will he be the first 40 homer guy for the Cubs hysterically? I've gone back and forth on this just in the last couple weeks. I still think maybe he falls short, but when you have 25 home runs and it's not the All-Star break yet, I know we've reached more than technically the halfway point, but like, I mean, we're 4th of July weekend and he's got 25 home runs. As long as he, knock on wood, stays healthy, which obviously has been a problem his first couple seasons with the Cubs. But if he stays healthy, I don't see how he's not really close by the end of the season.
Yeah.
You would have to have a massive slump for it not to happen. Yeah. He's hitting 30 for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
25.
I think he's hitting 35 for sure.
Could he get to 30 before the All-Star break? He's got 25.
Well,
they got
30 by the All-Star break. How would he not hit 40?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, can he hit 5 more before the All-Star break? He's got the Twins, he's got the Yankees, and they go to the Mickey Mouse Park in New York.
Let's say he hits 2 more, which seems totally realistic that he could hit 1 in each series.
Yeah.
27 home runs going into the All-Star break. I would think you're a pretty good bet to hit 40.
Yeah. I mean, August is, still warm out, still gonna get plenty of chances to have some help from the wind, hopefully at home. And then, not that it matters, like I just said, but I would make a responsible wager on Seiya to hit 40 right now.
I would make a totally irresponsible wager on him to hit 40 as long as I was doing it with your money and not mine.
My money. Okay. All right. Well,
or somebody else's money, just not mine. Again. All right. So say it right now. It's totally disappointing that Seiya is not in the All-Star game.
And Michael Busch.
Michael Busch is not in the All-Star game.
Living Human in the chat, he says Michael Busch is number 1 for first baseman in WRC plus at 170, number 1 for weighted on base average, and number 1 in OPS, number 1 in slug as well. And I'm just going to believe what he said because it fits my agenda, our agenda.
Right. And again, we don't ever let facts get in the way of a good story here. So even if it's not factual,
I'll just assume that he's on Fangraphs looking at the live stats right
Me
now.
Too.
And that's fine. But either way, like, he's been among the top 3 first basemen, if not top 3, top 5 first basemen for the top 5 the entire season, top 3 the last month and a half.
He's not even playing every day.
I know.
I know that probably factors somewhat into like people saying, oh, well, they're setting him up for these stats. Yeah, but he's not. That's true. But that makes the numbers even more impressive because the home runs and all the other stuff are so spectacular because he's not playing every day.
Yeah.
So it depends on if you want to look at it with your glass half full or your glass half empty. We're going to talk about Matthew Boyd in just a second because he is an all-star and he had a season high in strikeouts and he is my new favorite Cubs pitcher. And I'm just excited. And I can't let the thing that ESPN said go without saying. I don't like the dog broadcasting because I know how hard it is, but I'm just going to say that was bad. That was really bad. We're going to talk about that and what it was. Let me know if you think Seiya should be an all-star or Busch should be an all-star. Which one deserves it more right now in the live YouTube chat? But first, Cody, a word from our sponsors and a very exciting event coming up here.
Ask any Chicagoan what the best weekend of the summer is. 9 times out of 10, Luke, they're going to say it's the Windy City Smokeout. No question. All right. And guess what? It's back July 10th through the 13th. We're talking 4 full days of country music, ice cold drinks, and all the award-winning barbecue your stomach can handle. I know you're into that barbecue, Luke. If you haven't grabbed your tickets yet, Thursday and Friday this week, they're still available, I believe. All right. Country's biggest stars like Bailey Zimmerman, Old Dominion, and more are going to be lighting up the stage. Don't miss out on the best weekend of the summer. Grab your Thursday and Friday tickets now at windycitysmokeout.com. I can't wait. Haven't been there before. Been wanting to go for the last 4 years of living in the city. So going to try and go this year.
I do love barbecue. I also like cards. Looking to buy, sell, trade, or rip open a pack of cards, Arena Club is changing the hobby with their transparent slab packs and no-fee auctions. You got to check out these slab packs. You can rip a pack for as low as $25 and hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Every pack has grails. They are at least 20 times the price of the pack. Arena Club is the most trusted name in the game. And if you're heading to the 45th Annual National Sports Collectors Convention, be sure to stop by the Arena Club booth. It's happening July 30th through August 3rd, right at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. We've been there. We love it. They have a special promotions. They will have special promotions coming up available for both new and current customers. Swing by, pick up your national specific promo, see what all the hype is about. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/CHGO and use the code CHGO and tell them we sent you for the slab pack.
Can you hear like the background noise from me?
No.
Okay. Because my neighbors are shooting off fireworks right now, and it's annoying.
Don't even get me started about people with fireworks. I first of all, I don't have pets, but I know people with dogs absolutely hate the fireworks.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a problem with people lighting off fireworks on the 4th of July from 9:30 to 11. But once it's like midnight, you're a total turd if you're lighting off M80s in somebody's alley, okay?
Yeah.
There's little kids that can't take it. There's dogs that can take it. There's people with anxiety that can't take it. There's people with PTSD that can't take it. Just give it a rest. And now, come on, it's July 6th. Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. The country's a disaster as it is. We could celebrate, but come on.
Yeah. Well, Friday, it was like the neighbors. And when I say neighbors, it's just like the people who live in the building across the street. Now it's the people who live behind me. And it's like, come on, man. Like,
some people
and maybe this could be old man yells at cloud. Like, the older I've gotten, I like don't really care about fireworks. Like I live in Chicago. I don't really ever go watch a fireworks show at Navy Pier or even walk out to the lake to see them. It's died on me. I don't care. My favorite part about this holiday weekend is that the weather is usually nice. Perhaps go to Wrigley if they're at home. I'm with my friends. We drink beers in some yard or garage or something. And we enjoy summertime weather. That's really about it. Go to a bar, dive bar, something like that. That's it.
Did you see the chat? Ravi agrees with me, and Craig says that I'm very wise.
Yeah,
very wise. When I used to live in Ukrainian Village, we went to my buddy's rooftop all the time. He was right on the street behind me, and it was just like you just see like this. By the end of the night, you couldn't even see the skyline, even though you were right on top of it, because just a cloud of fireworks smoke. It was like, who are these people lighting off the fireworks? But I digress. The Cubs won big, and they beat the Cardinals. And if you're lighting off fireworks for anybody, light one in honor of Matthew Boyd, because he was spectacular again. 9 strikeouts against the Cardinals. This guy, I love what Craig Counsell said about how, like, this guy is a lesson for all of us. When you're down on your luck, this guy went through every injury. He multiple teams didn't let him get down. Stuck with it, kept plucking along, kept fighting, and here he is, an all-star, and he's pitched every bit of an all-star. 5 innings, no earned runs again tonight. the pitch count was a little bit high, but frankly, he probably still could have gone even longer if you weren't in a total blowout, right?
Yeah.
But he's been, I mean, I know I'm not going to rank the top. We may do this tomorrow, but I'm not going to rank who's been the biggest surprise of the first half because PCA is probably at the top of the list. But I don't know how you couldn't put Matthew Boyd pretty high on that list.
Right.
He's just been awesome.
He probably could have gone another inning. He had 87 pitches. He did throw a lot of pitches first couple innings and was able to get out of some jams. And I thought him getting out of that first inning jam was huge because if the Cardinals had scored early, you know, based off everything that happened on Saturday, and I don't know, I feel like the vibes would have been a little nerve-wracking and would have been settling in for what was going to be a frustrating night if he had given up some runs in that first inning, and he didn't. What's crazy is ESPN put some stat up on the screen that first inning talking about Matt Boyd over his last however many outings, the lack of swing and miss that he's gotten. Then after they showed it, Alec Burleson struck out swinging, and I don't remember who the other guy was. Maybe it was Lars Newbar. I don't know who it was, but he struck out the next two guys after they showed that swinging. And that's, 9 strikeouts on the night, season high, I believe. He's been everything you could ask for. And we keep saying that. He's been one of the top 3 surprises for me. I think PCA,
one of the best signings of the offseason for any team.
If you want to talk about free agent signings, not just for the Cubs, but let's just talk about the entire league. Matt Boyd has to be a top five free agent signing for the entire league from last.
Yeah, it has to be just for the value and the amount of the deal.
Right.
But and give the Cubs credit, there was risk in it.
Yeah.
It's not like there's no risk in it. But what got me, Cody, I don't know if you had heard this or if you were driving from the studio back to your house, but when on the broadcast, he just made a courtesy throw over to first. It was not Boyd's like pickoff move. It was just a throw over to first.
Yeah.
And they say, well, he doesn't really have a good pickoff move. So, he's just trying to keep him honest over there. I'm like, what are we talking? Does he not lead the league in pickoffs? Am I imagining things? I know I've said some asinine things on this podcast and in my broadcasting career.
Yeah.
Lord knows I've said many stupid things on television and on YouTube and in podcast form. But that was one of the dumber things I've ever heard of. Like, you've had all week to prepare for this game. You know the guy's starting the game, and you never once came across that he has 7 pickoffs?
Yeah.
What do you mean he doesn't have a great move? It's like the sickest move in baseball right now.
Yeah. At the very least, he had 2 or 3 days because the starters were announced at least a few days before.
They knew.
They did know. And
I'll tell you what that was. They were in the playpen probably for 4th of July, and then they recovered yesterday and they did the game today. This is not nothing to do with Matt Boyd, but related to ESPN broadcast. I think it was the second inning. The Cardinals, the guy playing third base tonight, hit a fly ball out to right field. Kyle Tucker goes to slide and try and catch it. He doesn't catch it. But the ESPN broadcast, they had no idea who challenged the call. So for like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, I'm sitting there. And also New York, how do you not just know immediately? The first shot we saw, he dropped.
Right, it was like very obvious that that Kyle Tucker didn't catch the ball. And through this entire time, I thought the Cubs challenged that he caught the ball, but it was actually the Cardinals because apparently he was ruled out. Like the umpires were in that moment, they called him out. They thought Kyle Tucker caught the ball, but the way the ESPN broadcast displayed it to us, people watching, they thought the Cubs challenged the call.
I don't know.
And they were a little dumbfounded. Like, why is this taking so long? Well, it's because it's because the umpires got it wrong, and the Cardinals were challenging the call that he was actually safe. And like, I don't know. Maybe I should put that more on the umpires or something. But
they even
for 4 minutes, I thought that the Cubs challenged that, and that was largely because of the broadcast.
I give Carl Ravitch credit. Even he said, like, is there communication down between New York and the ballpark? That's clearly not a catch. Like, what do we – but at one point, I was so fed up with maybe I was just cranky because of all the fireworks. I'm like, the pickoff move comment, was that more annoying to me, or was the fact that Ian Happ got called out at first base for the 3-foot rule being out of the baseline? And I was like, I mean, I'm with Craig Counsell on this one. I've seen guys run out of the baseline. I remember Javi used to do it. And we've seen it when they don't call it, and the guy's way inside the baseline on the grass to try and get the throw to go around him. This was a case where they went to apply the tag, and he didn't just slide and touch the bag. His hand went over almost the entire base. How out of the baseline could he be when all he did was slide sideways and grab the whole bag when he went by it?
Yeah. In the moment, I didn't really think anything of it because I thought Contreras tagged him, but he didn't.
No, he never even touched him.
Happ should have been on first base.
Yes.
I didn't know what else Happ's supposed to do in that moment. Contreras is in the baseline. Like, you can't.
What's he do? Supposed to slide lower?
Right. Or just accept being out like that.
Or do you want him to break Wilson Contreras' arm and just run through it?
Right. So that is what it is. That's a call that I think the broadcast called it subjective.
Yeah, it sure was.
But I feel like that should be challengeable or something. Like I don't know.
Get it. And I don't. And to the broadcast credit, I will say I agree with them and Counsell. Why didn't the umpires just gather on it? Like, nobody else saw that differently.
Right. Yeah, I agree with John in the chat. Foul territory base needs to come to MLB, and I would agree. And not just because of this particular play, but injuries have happened a lot because of not having that. And I don't know why they've never brought it. And when I was a kid and I played, and they had it, you know what I mean? Like, I think in Little League at least. So it's something that I agree with John there, that they need to have that foul territory base, but whatever.
It was frustrating. By the way, we hope to have Jared Wyllys on the podcast before the end of the hour. He was at the ballpark tonight. A couple interesting things that went on that I want to ask him about. Cody, you mentioned at the top of the podcast about, you just touched on Jordan Wicks a little bit. It was nice to see him get out there. This was a great spot to put him in. Great spot, right? Like, they have an off day tomorrow. Now the rest of the bullpen gets double days off, right? Which is wonderful going into the All-Star break, because we know how heavily they've been used. And Wicks was good. Yeah. 41 pitches, and boy, he could end up being a key piece. I know nobody wants him to be like this masterpiece of the rotation moving forward in the second half, because you want to acquire a couple other guys, but he could be very important, especially if this calf injury drags on with Jameson Taillon. So it was nice to see him come up, and actually he painted it a couple times. I liked what I saw. Yeah, it's good. I think like I said in the first segment, it's good to see him go out there and have success and save the bullpen. He could have easily gone out there and not been good and let the Cardinals back in the game, and I thought he had, I thought he just did the job. Like, he did his best impression of Chris Flexen and Javier Assad and Sexy Flexy. Yeah, like, he's doing it. He did his best impression of that. And, Palencia came in, got the final 2 outs. I didn't really get that until I realized that he hadn't pitched the entire weekend. So good to get some more. Got an off day tomorrow. It's not a big deal. So, pitching staff was awesome tonight. And Wicks, it gives me a little hope, I guess you can say. I've always had hope for this guy. This guy's 2023 was awesome. So need to see him do it a few more times to have some real hope. But I'm really trying to figure out, like, who's going to start in Jameson Taillon's spot, because Flexen pitched Saturday and then Wicks pitched tonight. Maybe they can get through the All-Star break without, needing that fifth guy, but whatever. I guess that's something to worry about after the All-Star break. And I know he's not, obviously he's a former first-round pick, and we've seen some major league success, right? And then the start of this season just didn't go the way everybody hoped it was going to go. He'd lost all that weight. Everybody thought, oh, this is going to be terrific. And it didn't go great. Yeah. But at the very least, he comes in, he throws these 3+ innings, no earned runs. You look at it and you say, hey, even if he's not a key piece or a piece that they use the rest of the season, he could be a guy that gets you back a little something extra by him being added in a deal. If that's how he's used, he could be a chess piece that way.
Yeah.
We hope to talk to Jared Wyllys here in just a couple minutes. If he's able to join us from beautiful historic Wrigley Field, we'll talk more about this Cubs series win. But first, Cody, a word from our great sponsors here at CHGO. If I was going for flooring, Cody, I'll tell you.
Yeah, just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. If we've all been to the big box stores, those big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring may have been doing sinks yesterday. It could be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. With Empire Today, you can get all-inclusive pricing, all right? Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard right. A $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details.
Hey guys, Monarch Money is more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, your investments, and your goals. Keep track of your finances because it can just be so tough, especially with all the food deliveries and online purchases arriving at your door at just a crazy pace these days. You never know what's going on. So don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. With all your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. Named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code CHGO. Don't let your money problems suffocate you. Take control with Monarch Money.
I'm sorry that I was a little slow on that.
No, that's okay, Cody. Cubs win big, and they pound the Cardinals in 2 of the 3 games. They could have swept this series.
Mm-hmm.
They could have swept the homestand. I think, listen, I don't know what the Cardinals are going to do. Are they in it enough that they're really going to, like, they weren't really thinking they were going to compete this year at all. So kudos to them for even being in the mix.
Yeah. They should buy heavy.
But they actually just say, you know what? This is faux gold. We're gonna trade. We're gonna trade guys, and we're going with the youth movement, and we'll worry about the future. And if we have some guys that are movable, let's move them.
Yeah, I'm interested on Jared's thoughts since he is here. He's going to jump in with us any second. But on a serious note, I would say that they probably won't do anything. They should probably try and finally move Nolan Arenado
again.
But they have what I would call, like, they do have some form of a young nucleus. It's just like they're so young and they don't have the pitching right now. But this is just me plugging my nose and saying something nice. Like, I do like Mason Wynn. You know, him talking to PCA when PCA was out at second base tonight, and the fact that he did that entire interview with ESPN while getting their butts.
That was the other thing. ESPN, like, man, just tell them you're going to let them go. They've given up 4 runs. All we hear is the guy's chains running around the outfield trying to chase the ball around.
Right.
And then they interview the manager, and it's like, goodness gracious, guys, they're down 10 runs. What could the manager say? Just tell them, you know what? We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
So, like, Mason Wynn's probably the one guy on their team that I kind of like as a player, without my Cubs bias. But then, you know, like, Victor Scott's great defensively, but can he hit one day? You know, like we said the same thing about PCA, you know. But, you know, and Alec Burleson's kind of finally figured it out. I feel like the last couple of years he'd been trying to figure it out, and I think this year he has. But then after that, I don't know. I don't know their direction. You know, sarcastically, I feel like they should buy and sell the entire farm and try and go for it, but they're not going to do that. And yeah, I haven't been a believer in them all season, largely just because they don't have any slug. And if there's anything, and now this is with my Cubs bias hat back on, if there's anything that I take a lot of happiness in. It's the fact that Jordan Walker sucks at baseball, because this guy was the number one prospect in baseball. He's supposed to be, they viewed him as like a 40 home run guy. This guy's got he's got a minus 0.9 Fangraphs WAR and has been on the injured list for however long. The guy has not lived up to what they had hoped they would be a few years ago. And I don't know if he ever will. But the point is, if he had finally emerged with all that's going on with their team, then I would have been taking them a lot more seriously. But they've been doing this without him, and they don't have any slug. That's the guy that they were hoping that was going to be providing them slug this year, and he hasn't. So to me, they're not going to do anything. I don't think they're going to. If they sell Arenado. Maybe they find someone who will take Miles Michaelis off their hands. I don't know, but they're not going to buy. And they're not going to sell hard either. So.
Well, after Friday, I don't know about Miles Michaelis. Jared Wyllys has joined us. Jared, first of all, fun weekend to be out near Wrigley Field. And what did everybody say? What did Matthew Boyd say after the game? Because I just think it's one of the cool stories the first half of the season that this guy's going to the All-Star game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's of all the storylines of this season, I think to me that's the one that's emerged as one of the most I don't know, exciting is not the right word, but there's just
heartwarming.
Heartwarming. Like, here's a guy who a year ago at this time was signing his contract with Cleveland, hoping for what looked like kind of his last shot at showing that he could still pitch, and does it, goes out and, if you look back at what he did in 8 starts for the Guardians last year, and then, 3 starts in the postseason for them, he showed that he's still got, he still had it. But even then, a year ago, he's signing that contract. And then now, here today, he's finding out that he's an all-star. It's an incredible thing. Talking to him after the game today, in classic Matthew Boyd fashion, he's one of the most humble players I think I've come across. And I've, spent years talking to Kyle Hendricks. So, some of the writers, we often joke that the Cubs should trade for Kyle Hendricks to get him back so that Kyle Hendricks and Matthew Boyd could just like have the tandem of the 2 nicest pitchers in baseball. But Boyd was his words were, "I'm a product of the people around me." And he made it a point. He thanked every single position player, including the backups. And then, coaching staff, he deserves a ton of credit for his talent and his work, but his initial reaction to it is just gratitude for the people around him, which I think gives people something of an idea of the kind of person that he is. An incredibly easy guy to root for, whether you're a Cubs fan or not. I think it's a cool comeback story. And so, it's definitely one of the most heartwarming Cubs-related things I think I've seen in a long time.
I think what makes it fun from a fan perspective is, his grandfather was a huge Cubs fan, and he would talk to, I think Boyd's been quoted with this, like he would call his grandfather and talk to him about his start or whatever, but then his grandfather would always point out, but hey, Kyle Hendricks had a great start tonight too. So he was always talking Cubs. He was always talking Cubs to Matthew Boyd when he wasn't a Cub. And so I think there's some form of thing there, that's led to this great story and truly like what makes sports, why we love sports, why we watch sports, you know what I mean? And again, like you just said, Jared, like whether you're a Cubs fan or not, it's a great story because my biggest fear with this guy coming into the year was just like, can he be healthy? This guy pitched over 100 innings now, and he's going to the All-Star game. And a month ago, I started making the argument or the case that he should go because he's got an ERA under 3, and without him, the Cubs are not where they're at. Justin Steele out for the year. Shodi Imanaga missed like a month and a half the season, and Matthew Boyd's just been steady every single day or every 5th day. And of any pitcher the Cubs have, he was undoubtedly the most deserving of anyone to go to the All-Star game for the Cubs, as a pitcher at least.
Without question. And I'll say, I mean, too, first of all, like to the kind of person that he is, what you see when he's on camera and being interviewed is no different from how he interacts with anybody the rest of the time. I mean, the guy is as genuine as they come. But I looked at it today, and now 18 starts, including tonight's start. He's gone at least 5 innings 17 times. And so you talk about just the reliability, the dependability that he's given, in addition to just like putting up really good numbers. You know, the guy is doing something so important for this team, which is in today's day and age, you know, starting pitchers, you get 5 or 6 innings from them per start. That's about all that you really even need from them, because the game has evolved and changed in that way. So yeah, to have somebody who 17 out of 18 times it will go out there and give you at least 5. That's tremendous. And today was a great example of how sometimes he will battle through a long first inning or a couple of long innings where he's throwing a lot of pitches and still gives you those 5 innings.
Hey, Jared, we only have like 3 minutes left in the podcast. I want to ask you about Bobby Jenks, but first I want to ask, do you have any breaking news that you have to tell us? Is there anything breaking or earth-shattering that we didn't know?
No, nothing earth-shattering. I do want to say very quickly, because I think this needs to be said, that Alex Cooper 7th inning stretch was an abomination. One of the worst things I've ever seen. I am disgusted by it. I barely know who she is. Don't care. Face the crowd when you sing the 7th inning stretch. Don't turn to the camera. That was nonsense. It's again disgusting. Face the crowd when you sing. We can forgive bad singing. That's fine. It's been done before. Yeah. But don't turn to the camera like that. Again, don't know who you are. After today, definitely don't care. That was horrifying.
Now I wish I would have seen it. Like, now I'm disappointed I didn't get to see it.
Within moments, I knew this is not going to go over well. And sure enough, she got deservedly booed.
Yes.
Pretty mightily the whole time, and she deserved every bit of it. Again, maybe you're a lovely person, but you really screwed this one up.
We got like 2 minutes left. That was the low point from Wrigley Field. I think it was really well done and really thoughtful and nice, and all of the things it should have been for the Cubs to put up rest in peace, like Bobby Jenks. The rivalry, you could put that aside, because this is just such a sad story that he passed away at such a young age with all his children, and like, it's just good for the Cubs for taking the high road. It was the right thing to do, and I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, it was a really cool thing to see there on the video board in left field, where there was, you know, the Jeremiah Paparocki read a message over the loudspeaker and referenced Jenks's role in the 2005 World Series and just what he means to that organization and the city of Chicago. So a really incredible gesture. I was happy to see it, because it was a very classy thing to do, because it is, you know, for somebody who Jenks was only 44 years old, that's incredibly young. And so, you know, to have had the career that he did, but then, you know, to go through what he's gone through, you know, thoughts and prayers are with their family for sure. So, it was a great thing to see what the Cubs did tonight.
We've been kind of hammering on ESPN throughout the show. ESPN was getting hammered on Twitter last night because they just said that he was part of the roster for the White Sox.
Part of the roster. He was the closer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did the big guy sign?
Just wanted to throw that out there.
What are you talking about?
Not a good look. So
put them in the Alex Cooper box and just get out of here.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. I mean, it's a sad story. And I interacted with him a few times because of Crosstown and Sports Talk Live shows and stuff like that. And he was always just a regular person. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you run across major leaguers and they're above it, or any other professional athlete, and they feel like they're doing some sort of courtesy to be out there, and maybe they are. But Bobby Jenks was just doing it because it was the right thing to come over and talk, and he knew the fans wanted to hear his voice. And I know he had a lot of demons in his life, and he overcame a lot of them and did a lot of great things. So, yeah, glad the Cubs did it. Glad to see that the White Sox recognized it, and a sad moment, but a nice moment at the end of a long holiday weekend. They're off tomorrow, right?
Yes.
We only got 20 seconds left, Cody. Real quick.
Give me 10 seconds, all right?
10,
yesterday, with the Cardinals, they get that go-ahead homer. He basically had the huge celebration, backswing, hit Carson Kelly. Did the Cubs throw at the Cardinals today? No, they didn't. Miles Michaelis, biggest clown in baseball. Just wanted to emphasize it again. Biggest clown in baseball. Thank you.
So we end with another nice moment. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor. We all silly like the mayor.